Getting into protein needs for our clients, several of the metrics that we're going to look at is body size. More muscle typically requires more protein, but more mass in general. If I'm a large mass individual, I'm going to need more protein because I'm probably breaking down through eccentric muscle contraction, my quadricep muscles or my lower body muscles through walking or jogging or running. So it's very important to realize that protein needs are very body mass, not just muscle motivated. Sleep and recovery factors. So if I'm recovering quickly, if I'm recovering well, I'm getting enough sleep, all will go into play in calculating my protein needs. Older populations tend to require more protein, particularly after the age of 35. Gender, males typically require more protein than females. Now that could be because of the higher body mass. It more than likely is because of the higher body mass. Nutritional status, the less calories you eat, the more catabolic you may be. So the more protein that you may need to maintain or synthesize muscle tissue. Carbohydrate intake, so carbohydrates are protein sparing. So kind of it goes hand in hand with calories. If we're on a low calorie diet and or a low carbohydrate diet, that may increase our protein needs if we are looking to maintain muscle mass. Stress, infection, and high stress can require more protein. That could also mean stress after a surgery. So if we just had a surgery and our body is doing a lot of growth and repair, we may need a little bit higher protein. Type and duration of exercise. So for example, endurance athletes require more protein than non-endurance athletes, and pregnant and lactating individuals may require higher amounts of protein. So when we look at the common government RDA for protein prescription, it's sitting at 0.75 per gram per kilogram for an adult woman, 0.84 grams per kilogram for an adult man. So that is fairly low. You notice that they do up that to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight for pregnant and breastfeeding women, and for men and women over the age of 70. So that is interesting that the protein needs do go up significantly the more we age. However, the government RDA, is that enough? Is that optimal for our clients? So a lot of that is going to look at your client's needs. So for example, let's look at a meta-analysis study that you see here at the bottom as far as a case for more protein in exercising individuals. So these are exercising individuals. And what they concluded is protein intakes of 1.62 grams per kilogram of body weight was seen as optimal for resistance training induced gains in fat-free mass. So that would be in gaining strength and gaining muscle tissue. Now they didn't find much benefit over 1.6 grams, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Is there any detrimental effects of going over that 1.6 grams? And obviously all of this, the three pillars of proper human nutrition or sustainable human nutrition need to be considered before assigning protein. So sometimes optimal for a client in the science world may not be optimal for them in the real world. So is your protein recommendations consistent with their lifestyle and beliefs? Is it consistent with their caloric needs? And are we balancing their nutrients? Are we balancing their inflammation? So their vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. Are they getting enough of those particular substrates in to live a healthy lifestyle? So the 1.62 grams, still a little bit lower than you'll see in a lot of the bodybuilding magazines and whatnot. Probably around 150 grams for a 200-pound male, which again, not a huge amount. So again, we're going to look at, can we go or should we ever go higher than that? And I think what we're going to find is a lot of that depends on that lifestyle factor in their palate. Is your client a protein eater? Do they have a palate for protein? Do they enjoy eating protein? And when diving into that, it's important to realize that protein is the most expensive macronutrient. So if they don't have a palate, they are resistance training and they do want to put on muscle, we're going to want to still probably stick to that lower intake amount of maybe 1.5, 1.6 and not venture into any higher. Whereas if you have a client who loves protein, they just love the taste, maybe they grew up on a cattle farm, we're going to dive into, can we go into higher prescriptions for their protein recommendations.